There is a quiet wisdom that flows beneath all the noise of this world, like a river beneath the surface of a restless earth. You may not hear it when you are running, chasing, measuring, or comparing. But when you stop, when you finally pause long enough to listen, it begins to speak, not in the language of the mind, but in the silent knowing of the soul. And it says this: focus not on what is missing, focus on what is right. Because what is right now is sacred. You see, there is a part of you that has been trained to believe something is wrong, that something is broken, that something essential is just out of reach. This part wears the face of the ego. It counts flaws, compares stories, and builds its identity on the shaky ground of what's lacking. It's the part that whispers, "You'll be happy when," and then dangles the carrot of completion just far enough away that you never arrive. But there is another voice, a softer one, a wiser one, the voice of your divine self, the presence that knows you not as a work in progress, but as a work of art. That voice does not rush. It does not fear. It does not point to the hole in your life and call it failure. It points to the light already inside you and calls it home. So many walk this earth feeling as if they are chasing fragments of themselves scattered across time. The perfect job, the perfect partner, the perfect body, the perfect day. But the soul is not interested in perfection. It is interested in presence, in truth, in gratitude, in love. To focus on what is right does not mean you deny your pain. It means you see the pain through the eyes of wholeness. It means you remember that even amidst uncertainty, there is breath, there is stillness. There is the miracle of your heartbeat, drumming quietly for you while you sleep. There is always something right, always something sacred. And when you train your gaze upon it, when you shift the spotlight of your attention from the cracks to the light shining through them, you begin to transform not the world, but your experience of the world. As the Tao teaches, the way to do is to be. Not to become, not to strive, but to be. And to be fully, with all your attention, in what is here, is to recognize that nothing is missing. How could it be when you are already whole? Imagine the tree in winter. It does not panic because its branches are bare. It does not weep for the leaves that have fallen. It trusts. It knows spring will come. It stands rooted in what is, not longing for what is not. And you too are of nature. You too have seasons. But even in the stillness of waiting, you are not empty. You are growing. The ego believes peace lies in the elimination of problems. But the soul knows peace is the presence of awareness in the midst of everything. To shift from focusing on what's missing to what's right is to return to your soul. It is to awaken from the trance of lack and remember the abundance that breathes you. Look now, right now, what's right? Is your heart beating? Is the breath flowing? Is there something, anything you can feel, taste, hear, or see? Then there is a miracle present. And miracles do not need to be grand to be holy. A single conscious breath is a prayer. A moment of laughter is a temple. A tear, shed in truth, is a baptism. And the more you attune yourself to the beauty of what is, the more life reveals itself to you, not as a series of problems to solve, but as a sacred unfolding to witness. You may have been taught that your worth is conditional, that you must earn it, prove it, perfect it. But the soul laughs gently at this illusion. Your worth is not in question. It was never on trial. It is a given bestowed by the very force that shaped the stars and placed you gently here. What's right in this moment is not something you have to seek. It is something you allow yourself to see. It is not added, it is revealed. And so, begin again, right now. Let your attention be the alchemy. Let your gratitude be the gateway. See the sky. Feel the earth beneath your feet. Remember the loved ones who have held space for your spirit. Recall a moment, any moment, when you felt free. That feeling lives in you still. It was never lost, only buried beneath the rubble of seeking. As Rumi said, don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form. When you stop counting what's gone and begin blessing what remains, you become an instrument of grace, a living prayer, a radiant beam of what's eternal within you. This is not denial. This is divine remembrance. This is not avoidance. This is alignment. And from this space, miracles become natural because you are no longer resisting what is, you are embracing it. and anything you embrace, you transform. So today, refuse to be defined by the missing pieces. Refuse to measure your life by what is absent. Refuse to give your power away to the narrative of not enough. Instead, focus on the sacred breath. Focus on the laughter you shared. Focus on the strength you forgot you had but kept showing up with anyway. Focus on the love that came unexpected. Focus on the lessons that shaped you. Focus on the quiet mornings, the soft light, the way your soul keeps singing even when the world forgets the melody. This is your practice, not someday. But now, let this moment be the altar. Let this breath be the offering. Let your attention be the sacred act of returning not to the illusion of lack, but to the truth of fullness. You are not empty. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are breathing. You are aware. You are the presence of the divine in human form, remembering itself one breath at a time. Focus on what's right, and you will find there's so much more right than you ever realized. And that changes everything. What you focus on, you empower. And what you empower, you invite to stay. So ask yourself with honesty, have you been feeding your peace or your pain? Have you been counting the blessings or cataloging the wounds? The world outside may swirl with reasons to despair, but the world within always holds the option to choose again, to choose love, to choose awareness, to choose the present moment as it is, without argument, without judgment, without the old story dragging behind. Because the story of lack only has power if you keep telling it. And when you stop repeating it, even silently, the silence that remains will begin to echo with a different truth, a deeper one. A truth that says you are already living inside the miracle. Open your eyes. This does not mean you ignore the ache. It means you let the ache be held in something bigger than the ache itself. You let the ache be touched by the light of awareness. You stop making it your identity. You stop wearing it like a badge. Because no matter how long you've been hurting, the pain is not who you are. It is something moving through you, like wind through trees, rain through soil. And even as it passes, life is offering gifts. But you can only receive them if your hands aren't clenched in resentment, if your heart isn't locked in the past, if your gaze isn't fixed on what never was. What's right in your life is not just what shines, it's what teaches, what deepens you, what reminds you that strength doesn't come from smoothness, it comes from surviving the storms and still daring to bloom. The cracked places in your heart, that's where the light has been working its way in. And now you have a choice, to keep tending the cracks or to step into the light that's been trying to reach you all along. Because every time you breathe into the beauty of this moment, you let go of the illusion that anything is missing. And what a relief it is to stop striving, to stop reaching for what you already hold. Even now, in this breath, something holy is happening. Even now, as your mind searches for more, your soul sits patiently, offering enough. Enough in the inhale, enough in the silence. Enough in the presence that says, this is it. Not someday, not later, but now, this is it. And you are it. You are what's right. Not because you've achieved perfection, but because you exist at all. You are proof of something sacred. Something eternal chose to express itself as you. And when you remember that, lack dissolves, comparison fades, and your being becomes its own kind of prayer. You don't need more time. You need more presence. You don't need more answers. You need more trust. The need to fix fades when you realize that nothing essential was ever broken. The need to search quiets when you accept that the seeker and the sought are one. The soul isn't looking for what's missing. The soul is calling you back to what has always been. And what has always been is enough, is love, is right. So breathe, not to escape, but to arrive. And in that arrival, feel the sacred pulse of life, not in the grand, but in the quiet. The way a single smile can shift your day. The way a gentle wind feels on your skin. The way you can hold yourself in compassion when no one else knows what you're going through. These are not small things. These are everything. And when you learn to notice them, to bless them, you become a witness to grace. And grace, once seen, can never be forgotten. It becomes your compass, your rhythm, your home. And from that home within, you no longer chase light. You become it. You radiate what you choose to focus on. You become an anchor for what is right, not only in your own life, but in the lives you touch. Because every shift within you is a gift to the world. Every time you choose love over fear, presence over distraction, enoughness over lack. You raise the vibration of this planet, not in theory, but in truth, in energy, in real, quiet revolution. This is how we heal the world, not by screaming into the darkness, but by lighting a single candle in the center of our being and tending it fiercely. That candle is focus. That flame is awareness. And when you direct it toward what is right, it begins to burn through every illusion that told you otherwise. So let that flame grow. Let it reveal the beauty of your life exactly as it is. Let it warm the places that have gone cold from years of wanting. Let it guide you back, not to the version of you the world asked for, but to the version that has always been true. The version that trusts, that surrenders, that sees clearly this moment is not missing anything, this moment is holy, and so are you. There is a quiet revolution that begins the moment you decide to see the gift instead of the grievance, the beauty instead of the bruise, the presence instead of the lack. This revolution does not erupt in noise, it blossoms in stillness. It happens when you no longer believe the voice that says your joy must be postponed until conditions are met. It happens when you look around and realize the very breath entering your lungs is enough reason to weep with gratitude. It happens when you finally stop resisting the moment and start inhabiting it like a sacred temple, not because it is perfect, but because it is real. And in that realness, it becomes divine. Life was never meant to be measured by accumulation. The soul does not thrive on how much you own, how much you accomplish, how many eyes watch you shine. The soul thrives on depth, on presence, on moments where you allow yourself to feel so completely that time dissolves and what remains is nothing but being. That's the treasure. That's what's right. And the tragedy is how often we overlook it because we've been conditioned to look up and ahead, but never in and down. We climb ladders without asking if they're leaning against the right wall. We chase approval without pausing to ask whose love we are actually starving for. We beg for more when the more we crave is not something we can possess, it is something we already are. And so the healing begins when you slow down, not when you finish the task list, not when you perfect the outer world, but when you finally decide that this moment, messy and miraculous as it is worthy of your reverence. That's when the light begins to rise. That's when the heaviness begins to lift. You see, focusing on what's right is not spiritual naivety, it's spiritual maturity. It is the choice to trust the soil even when you can't see the roots growing. It is the decision to bless the rain because you know it nourishes something unseen. It is the wisdom to say, even this has purpose when your heart is still breaking. And oh, how it breaks. This world in all its beauty still wounds. People leave, dreams falter, bodies ache, hopes bend beneath the weight of time. But beneath the breaking, there is a holding, and beneath the holding, there is a knowing. And the knowing says, what is right will carry you. The love you've given, the kindness you've offered, the truth you've spoken, even when your voice shook. These are the invisible pillars holding your life together. Not the possessions, not the praise, but the unseen sacred choices you've made when no one was watching. The soul knows what is right. And it remembers, let yourself remember now. Remember the moment you forgave someone, not because they deserved it, but because you deserved peace. Remember the sunrise that made you feel whole for no reason at all. Remember the way your heart leapt when you helped someone without needing anything in return. These are not memories. They are signposts. They are reminders of who you really are beneath the roles and the noise. You are love in motion. You are grace with skin on. You are a soul remembering itself through the practice of presence. And the practice is simple, not easy, but simple. Wake up and notice what is right. The sound of birdsong, the warmth of water on your skin, the softness of your own breath. These are holy things. Let them be enough. Let them be more than enough. Because in truth they are. You don't need to wait for life to get better. You only need to get quieter. And in the quiet, you will hear the voice that's been waiting. The one that doesn't demand, the one that doesn't push, the one that gently whispers, you are already here. And when you realize you are already here, not at the destination, but in the miracle, everything changes. You stop chasing and start cherishing. You stop forcing and start flowing. You begin to see that what you thought was missing was only hidden by the fog of forgetfulness. And now the fog lifts. And what it reveals is breathtaking in its simplicity. You, breathing, you, feeling, you, loving, losing, healing, and opening again. You, still here. And that is what's right. That is what was always right. There is a sacred rhythm pulsing beneath all things, even in the midst of your confusion. Even when your heart feels uncertain and the road ahead is unclear, that rhythm continues. It beats beneath the chaos. It hums beneath your fear. It breathes through you like a silent tide, never demanding to be noticed, but always willing to guide you home. And if you grow still enough, quiet enough, honest enough, you'll begin to hear it again. Not as a booming voice from above, but as a subtle alignment within, a return to resonance, to truth, to what is right and has always been right about your life. For too long, you may have been conditioned to believe that fulfillment is somewhere else, that the joy you seek belongs to another time, another place, another version of you. But the truth, the eternal, unwavering truth, is that joy has never left you. It only waits to be noticed. It waits beneath the comparison, the self-doubt, the expectations placed upon you by a world that has forgotten its soul. It waits behind your breath, beneath your heartbeat, inside your quiet moments of honesty. The joy, the wholeness, the peace, they are not distant stars, they are the fabric of your very being. And so the invitation, the whisper, the call of this moment is simple. Stop counting the missing pieces and start blessing the pieces that remain. Because what remains is sacred. What remains is strong. What remains has carried you through storms you never thought you'd survive. You did not break, you were broken open. And now, in the openness, in the vulnerability that the ego fears but the soul adores, something new can enter, something real, something whole. You are not here to constantly fix yourself. You are not here to endlessly strive towards some unreachable ideal. You are here to be whole now. And wholeness doesn't mean you don't ache. It doesn't mean you don't yearn. It means you know how to hold yourself through the ache, how to breathe through the longing, how to rest in what is good, even as you walk through what is hard. There is a deeper strength that lives within you, one that doesn't shout or push, but patiently rises when you stop resisting. This strength is not made of armor, it is made of openness. It is made of the courage to love again after loss, to try again after failure, to believe again after disappointment, to trust in the unseen, even when the seen has shaken you. You may not always know where you're going. You may not always understand why things unfolded the way they did. But there is one thing you can always know. The direction of healing is inward. Not forward, not upward, not outward, but inward. Toward presence, toward simplicity, toward truth. And truth will always point you back to what is right, right here. It may be a gentle truth, a subtle truth, a quiet voice in a loud world, but it is yours, and it will never abandon you. Even when you forget, even when you doubt, even when you fall into despair, it waits. Like the steady sun behind the clouds, like the tide waiting to return to shore, like the breath waiting to be received, again it waits. And now is the moment to return. Return not to what was, but to what is. Not to the version of yourself you once were, but to the version that is rising now, shaped by grace, softened by surrender, fortified by the very things you thought would destroy you. You are not broken. You are becoming. And what you are becoming is more aligned, more aware, more awake. This is the miracle that unfolds when you focus on what's right. Life softens, the struggle eases, you stop bracing for pain and start opening to love. You stop running from the now and begin walking with it hand in hand, like two old friends who finally reconciled. And in that union, peace returns, joy returns, clarity returns. Not because life changed, but because your focus did. And in that shift, you rediscover the truth you've known all along, that what you seek is never far away. It is as close as your next breath, as intimate as your own heartbeat, as present as the stillness in which these words now land. This is what's right. This is what's sacred. And this is who you are. What happens when you stop waiting for life to give you permission? What happens when you stop bargaining with the moment, stop placing conditions on your own joy, and instead open your arms to the rawness of now? You begin to live, not in theory, not in memory, not in some distant future, where everything is finally aligned, but now, in this breath, in this unfolding. You begin to feel life not as something you must fix or control, but as something you can finally allow. And in the allowing, the sacred reveals itself not in lightning bolts, but in the quiet miracle of your own existence. You see, so much of our suffering comes not from what is, but from our resistance to what is, from the false idea that something is wrong because it is not as we imagined. But the soul does not live in imagination, it lives in reality. It lives in this heartbeat, this moment, this rising and falling of emotion, of thought, of experience. The soul does not need perfection, it needs presence. And presence begins with one sacred decision, to look gently and honestly at your life and see what is right with it. Not what you're missing, not what's unfinished, not what someone else has, but what is here, what is now, what is holding you even as you read these words. The breath, the awareness, the pulse of life itself moving through you like a hymn. You are not forgotten, you are not forsaken. You are a living, breathing miracle of being. And the moment you truly see that, not as an idea but as a knowing, is the moment you become free. Freedom, real freedom, is not found in escape. It's found in embodiment. It's found in your choice to be exactly where you are and to meet yourself with reverence, to say, this is enough. Even when it's messy, even when it's unfinished, even when your heart still aches and the answers haven't come. This is enough. Because when you say that, when you truly mean it, something ancient stirs within you, something true, something holy. The divine within you awakens not as a distant force, but as the very breath rising in your chest. And that awakening is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is the softest exhale, the gentle settling of your spirit after a lifetime of restlessness. It is a remembering so profound that it brings you to tears, not because something was added, but because something false was finally let go. The false belief that you were lacking, that you were separate, that you had to earn your right to be here. But beloved, you are here. You are already here. The miracles already happen. You are alive. You are aware. You are the presence through which life experiences itself. And all you must do now is see it, bless it, choose it. Choose to focus on what is nourishing instead of what is missing. Choose to dwell in what is loving instead of what is lacking. Choose to meet your own life with eyes wide open and a heart that says yes even when it hurts, even when it confuses, even when it challenges. Say yes to what is right, and what is right will grow. What you water grows. What you focus on expands. So choose well. Choose what supports you. Choose what brings you back home. Choose the truth that sets you free, not the story that keeps you small. And if you forget, as we all do, if the old patterns return, if the voice of the ego rises with its complaints and its comparisons, then return again. Return to this breath. Return to what's right. Return to the silence between thoughts, where the soul speaks in whispers and in light. That place has never left you. That place is who you are. You were never meant to find yourself out there. You were meant to remember yourself right here, in this quiet moment, in this sacred pause, in this gentle, holy, ordinary now. So now we arrive not at an end, but at a return, not to a final answer, but to a deeper stillness, the kind that lives beneath every question, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself to be true. You are not finishing something here. You are remembering something ancient. You are returning again and again to what is right, to what is whole, to what has never once been missing, only momentarily obscured by the noise of becoming. And in this return, you do not need to shout. You do not need to announce your arrival. You simply begin to live from it, to breathe from it, to walk as if the sacred is already inside you, because it is. The world may never understand the depth of your inner shift, but your soul will. Your soul has waited patiently for this, for you to pause, for you to look around at the tapestry of your own life and say, this is enough, for you to stop asking what is missing and start celebrating what remains, what's breathing, what's here. The trees do not count their leaves to determine their worth. The ocean does not measure its waves to justify its existence. And you, precious soul, you do not need to tally your victories to claim your right to be at peace. You were born enough. You remain enough. You are the answer you've been seeking. And the moment you believe that not as a thought, but as a felt truth, everything softens. The war within you ceases. The grasping relaxes. The searching transforms into seeing. You begin to see God in the ordinary, in the coffee cup, in the morning light, in the kind glance of a stranger. You begin to feel the presence of the divine not as a destination to be reached, but as a quiet rhythm already pulsing through your life. You begin to recognize that this path you walk this very life with all its twists and turns is the altar. And you are the prayer. You are the offering. You are the light walking in skin, discovering itself in form. And when you forget, which you will, when you fall into the trance of not enough again, you'll know the way back. You'll remember that healing doesn't mean you never forget. It means you remember more quickly. It means you recognize the lie for what it is and choose not to believe it. It means you gently whisper to yourself, come home, and home always will be found in what is right. So live from this place, not later, now. Speak from it, move from it. Offer your gifts from it, not to prove your value, but because you are overflowing. Let others feel your peace before they hear your words. Let your presence be the evidence of your healing. Let your life become the living expression of a soul that knows deeply and irrevocably that nothing is missing. And if you must hold anything tightly, let it be this truth, that what you focus on creates your reality. So focus on the sacred, focus on the simple, focus on the love you give and the love you receive. Focus on the breath, the breeze, the blessing. Focus on what is right, not in some perfect world, but in this one. This world with its heartbreak and its beauty. This moment with its silence and its song. This you as you are. Because you as you are enough. You are the evidence of grace. You are the light you've been waiting for. And now you remember, now you see, now you are free. There is a sacred truth the soul has always known, though the mind has long forgotten. Gratitude is not the reward for receiving it, is the vibration that summons the blessing. To give thanks before it arrives is to declare with every fiber of your being, I trust. And in that trust, in that sacred surrender, you become the magnet not for what you want, but for what is already yours in the invisible realm of spirit. The ego waits for proof. It demands results before it will soften its grip. But the soul knows the language of the unseen. It whispers, all things are already done in the field of the divine. You must only align your energy with the reality you are calling forth. And how do you align? You give thanks as if it were already here. Imagine the seed buried beneath the soil. It is not visible, yet within it is a forest. You do not wait until the tree blossoms to water it. You tend to it now with faith. You do not need to see the leaves to know that life is stirring. You trust the process, you trust the unfolding, and in the same way, you must trust your own becoming. Gratitude is not a reaction, it is a state of being. It is not the applause you give life once it performs the way you expected. It is the open-hearted yes you offer before the curtain ever rises. And in that, yes, miracles begin to stir. To live in gratitude is to live in harmony with the eternal rhythm of the universe. You cease begging the world to give you something it cannot provide. You stop grasping. You stop pleading. You begin instead to embody, to radiate, to call forth. You become the vibration of abundance itself, and the universe, ever responsive, echoes it back in forms more beautiful than your mind could have conceived. When you give thanks before it arrives, you are not pretending. You are remembering. You are stepping into the awareness that all of life is connected, that there is no delay in spirit, only in perception. And when your perception shifts into gratitude, time bends, doors open, the path clears. Do not wait for the healing to be complete to bless your body. Bless it now as whole. Do not wait for love to knock on your door to open your heart. Open it now as if the beloved were already here. Do not wait for peace to finally settle in. Be still now and feel the peace that has never left you. This is the dance of co-creation. Not a striving, but a surrender. Not a begging, but a becoming. You give thanks because your soul recognizes what your eyes have not yet seen. And the moment you thank the unseen, you make it seen. Jesus said, when you pray, believe you have received it, and it will be yours. This is not a metaphor. It is a metaphysical instruction. Believe you have received. Feel the joy now. Walk in the freedom now. Live in the abundance now, not as a performance, but as the truth. Because when you align with the reality you desire, It cannot help but find you. It has no choice. It is law. Rumi wrote, "What you seek is seeking you." But what he did not need to say, because the mystic already knows, is that what you seek can only find you when your energy no longer contradicts your desire. And the greatest harmonizer, the greatest inviter is gratitude. When you thank life in advance, you remove the veil of separation between where you are and where you wish to be. Your soul does not operate on future timelines. It lives in the eternal now. It hears your thank you, and it interprets it not as hope, but as truth. It begins moving mountains to match the frequency of your faith. It aligns the stars, bends time, orchestrates the details, because the soul has no resistance. It simply responds to alignment. There is power in this knowing. There is healing in this surrender. To say thank you, not with desperation, but with certainty, is to step into your divine inheritance. You are not here to grovel before the universe, hoping to earn a crumb of joy. You are here to awaken to the truth that joy is your birthright. You were never meant to chase the dream like a shadow across the pavement. You are the Sunday, you are the source. And what you bless, blesses you back. What you affirm, affirms you in return. What you give thanks for, even before it arrives, rushes toward you like a wave toward the shore, because it recognizes its home in your vibration. Do not worry if the outer form has not yet taken shape. The spiritual reality is already complete. The sculptor does not doubt the statue exists within the stone. She simply begins to chisel away what is not it. And in the same way, your life is the sculpture, your gratitude is the chisel. With every thank you, you carve away doubt. You release resistance. You shape the vision into form. Gratitude is not passive. It is the most active force in the universe. It is not weak. It is creative. It is not waiting for something to happen. It is declaring that something already has. Look at the trees. They do not question the rain. They stretch toward the sky in confidence. Look at the rivers. They do not hoard their flow. They trust there will be more. Look at the stars. They do not ask for permission to shine. They blaze in full radiance, not waiting for approval. So why do you wait for the bank account to swell before you feel secure? Why do you wait for the apology before you forgive? Why do you wait for the outcome before you rejoice? You are not a beggar at the gates of grace. You are the beloved of the infinite. And your gratitude is the proof that you remember. Thank life for the breath you cannot see, but still sustains you. Thank life for the answers not yet known, but already in motion. Thank life for the love you have not yet touched, but which is already reaching for you through the ethers. Thank the divine for every delay, for every detour, for every unanswered prayer that was a protection in disguise. Thank the silence, for it deepens your listening. Thank the shadow, for it reveals your light. Thank the loss, for it carved the space for something greater. When you thank life before it delivers, you are not playing tricks with fate. You are acknowledging the deeper truth that everything is already here. And the only thing required is that you tune yourself to the frequency where it already exists. The key is not in the effort, it is in the alignment. The gate is not locked, it only asks for presence. The treasure is not hidden, it is veiled by your resistance. So drop the resistance, let go of the timeline, abandon the need to control, and simply say, thank you. Thank you for what is. Thank you for what is coming. Thank you for what has already arrived in spirit and will soon arrive in form. This is not wishful thinking. This is spiritual mastery. This is the alchemy of becoming. To give thanks before it arrives is not to manipulate reality. It is to cooperate with it. It is to declare with holy authority that you are already one with the source that provides all things. And in that declaration, the universe smiles, because finally, you remember. And now, everything changes. And now that you remember, may you walk as if the way is already made. May your feet kiss the ground, not in anxiety, but in reverence, knowing the path is forming with each grateful step. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the soul's quiet assurance that it walks with the infinite, not behind it, not apart from it, but as an extension of it. And when you live in this place, when your inner state no longer waits on outer evidence, you begin to radiate the very reality you once longed for. The world bends not because you have forced it, but because you have attuned to the truth beneath appearances. Everything you need is already encoded into the moment you are in. There is no need to chase, only to align, no need to prove, only to trust. No need to strive, only become still enough to hear what has always been whispering. You are already enough. You are already love. You are already whole. This is the music of the universe, and gratitude is your way of dancing to it. Even when the melody feels far, even when the rhythm breaks, your thankfulness keeps you in harmony with the unseen orchestra of life. For nothing is ever truly missing, only unrecognized. And gratitude is the vision that makes the invisible visible. You are not hoping for miracles. You are standing in the very frequency of them. You are not waiting for blessings. You are walking as one already blessed. Feel the shift. Feel the difference in your breath when you stop longing and begin allowing. Your shoulders drop. Your heart softens. Your presence deepens. You begin to see through the eyes of the soul, not the eyes of fear. And what the soul sees is always whole, always perfect, always now. So give thanks. Not because you are trying to attract what you do not have, but because you are finally opening to what is already present. Give thanks for the healing already blooming beneath the pain. Give thanks for the wisdom already rising through the ache. Give thanks for the new beginning already wrapped inside the ending. The mind may not understand it. It doesn't have to. Understanding is the domain of intellect. But gratitude belongs to the domain of spirit. It is the language of your true self. And when you speak it, the universe listens. When you speak it, mountains move. Not always outwardly, but always inwardly. The mountain of doubt. The mountain of fear. The mountain of waiting. It all crumbles in the presence of sincere thanks. Not because the outer has changed, but because you have. And when you change, the world reflects it. The people you meet, the paths you walk, the opportunities that knock all shift to mirror the new frequency you inhabit. So speak your thanks out loud. Let your voice declare the miracle before it manifests. Let your joy rise not from what you see, but from what you know. And what you know is this: life is for you. Always has been, even when it was silent, even when it seemed to forget your name. Even when all you could feel was absence, there was a deeper presence waiting for you to remember it, waiting for you to invite it back with the simple words, thank you. Gratitude is the doorway to miracles. It is the soil in which your destiny takes root. It is the light that dissolves illusion. And the more you thank life, the more it shows you just how much there is to be thankful for. Not because it has changed, but because your vision has. And now, in this new vision, the ordinary becomes holy. The mundane becomes sacred. Every moment becomes a message. Every breath becomes a blessing. Even the pain, even the waiting, even the unanswered prayer, all of it becomes part of the sacred path home. And you, dear soul, are walking that path now. Not toward your wholeness, but from it. Not toward your joy, but as it. You are not separate from the love you seek. You are its living expression. You are not apart from the peace you pray for. You are its emissary in form. So live this truth. Let every thought, every word, every action be a continuation of your thankfulness. Let your days be offerings. Let your presence be prayer. Let your existence be the answer to the question you once cried out in the dark. You are not waiting on life to deliver. Life is waiting on you to awaken. And in this awakening, everything becomes grace. The challenge becomes teacher. The delay becomes preparation. The unknown becomes sacred ground. You no longer resist what is, you bless it. You no longer fight the unfolding, you flow with it. Because you know deep in your bones that all things are working not against you, but for your expansion, your remembering, your return. And so, thank you. Thank you for what was. Thank you for what is. Thank you for what is yet to be. Not because I need it to happen, but because I know in the depths of my being that it already has. And in that sacred knowing, your posture changes. Not the posture of your body, but the posture of your soul. No longer bowed by fear or bent by doubt. It rises not in pride, but in reverence. Reverence for the invisible hand that has always guided you, even through the detours you cursed and the winters you thought would never end. You begin to see that nothing was wasted. No tear, no silence, no disappointment. Every moment was a brushstroke. Every heartbreak, a chisel shaping you into the vessel that could carry the blessing with grace. When you live in thanks before the arrival, you are not conjuring up fantasy. You are stepping into alignment with eternity. Because what you're really doing is collapsing the distance between your desire and its fulfillment. You stop living in the illusion of not yet, and begin breathing the truth of already. This is not delusion. This is deeper perception. You are tuning in to the station of the soul, where the music of abundance is always playing, where your deepest truth is already written, already sung, already complete. Imagine just for a moment standing in the rain before the storm has broken. You do not see the droplets, but you smell the change in the air. You feel the electricity gathering. You know, in the marrow of your being, that water is coming, that relief is near. And so you stretch out your hands to the sky, not because you're wet, but because you trust. That is what gratitude is. The outstretched arms of the soul before the sky splits open, and how beautiful it is, how powerful to live that way. To walk through life not as a seeker, but as a receiver. Not as someone hoping to be chosen, but as someone already claimed by the divine. You no longer knock on doors wondering if you are welcome. You walk through thresholds with the grace of someone who belongs. Because when you live in gratitude, you understand that the universe does not withhold. It waits. It waits for your vibration to become a match to what is already prepared. There is a banquet set before you, a feast of love, of purpose, of peace. But you must sit down in faith before you taste it in form. You must bless the empty plate before it is filled. You must lift your glass and toast to the miracle before it is poured. And in doing so, you signal to life, I am ready. I am open. I am no longer clinging to doubt. I am no longer bargaining with time. I trust the rhythm. I trust the rain. This is not performance. This is remembrance. A sacred homecoming to the place within you that has always known that miracles are not earned, they are remembered. You do not become worthy of grace. You awaken to the truth that you have always been its home. And yes, the world may call this foolish. It may ask you for proof, for logic, for guarantees. But the soul speaks in a different tongue. It speaks in symbols, in sensations, in silent whispers that cannot be charted, but can be felt in every beat of your heart. And that feeling when you rest in it is more powerful than any evidence the world can offer. To give thanks before it arrives is to stand in the eye of the storm with a calm that confuses the winds. It is to hold your center while the outer world questions your clarity. It is to keep your heart open when nothing makes sense and still say thank you, not out of resignation, but out of sacred defiance. A defiance that says, I will not be shaken by appearances. I will not be defined by delay. I know who I am, and I know whose I am, and that is enough. You begin to see the invisible threads that connect all things, the heartbreak that led to the breakthrough, the loss that made room for something greater, the silence that became the doorway to deeper listening. And from that place, you stop needing to understand everything. You stop demanding answers. You start living the answer. The answer is presence. The answer is trust. The answer is thank you. Thank you for the lessons I didn't want but desperately needed. Thank you for the pauses that preserved me. Thank you for the setbacks that reset my path. Thank you for the delays that deepened my devotion. Thank you for every no that cleared the way for the right yes. Thank you, not because it always felt good, but because now I see the grace that carried me through the dark. This is the wisdom that cannot be taught, only lived. It cannot be memorized, it must be felt. And once you feel it, once you've tasted the peace that gratitude brings, you never forget it. It becomes the undercurrent of your life, a quiet hum that says, all is well, even now, especially now. So let that hum rise, let it become a song, let it become the soundtrack of your days, the undercurrent of your thoughts, the sacred thread that weaves every experience into something holy. Let your thankfulness not be occasional but constant, not circumstantial but unconditional. Let it pour out of you like breath, let it rise from you like incense. Let it carry you moment by moment into the life that has been waiting for your trust to arrive. Because the moment you say thank you not as a strategy, but as a state of being, the world within you shifts. And when your inner world shifts, your outer world has no choice but to follow. Not always immediately, not always how you imagined, but always, always in alignment with the higher order of love that governs all things. This is how we call the future into the now. Not by pushing, not by pleading, but by praising. Thank you not as a request, but as a declaration. Thank you. Not because I need to believe, but because I already do. And now, in that believing, I become the space where miracles no longer need permission to arrive. They simply come because I am already hope. And when they come, those miracles so softly at first you almost miss them, you do not fall to your knees in disbelief. You smile, you nod, you whisper again, thank you. not with the amazement of someone who didn't expect to be blessed, but with the quiet reverence of one who always knew it was on its way. You see, gratitude has transformed you. Not the world, not the condition, those two will shift, but first it is you. Your eyes have changed. Your heartbeat has changed. You now walk through the garden not searching for beauty, but seeing that everything is already in bloom. There is a sacred boldness in this way of being. Not the boldness of ego, but of essence. The boldness that does not wait for permission to rejoice. The boldness that does not require life to perform a certain way in order to feel fulfilled. You no longer beg the river to flow, you become the river. You no longer ask the stars for direction, you realize they have always mirrored your own inner light. You no longer plead for peace, you become the embodiment of it. Because what you give thanks for before it arrives is not just a wish, it is a claiming. It is the act of standing at the altar of life with open hands and saying, I receive. I receive it all, the known and the mystery, the joy and the challenge as divine. And as you receive, you begin to offer, not just words, but presence. Not just kindness, but being. You become a walking prayer, not because you preach, but because you are in communion with the invisible thread that weaves all things together. You become the safe space for others to rest, the mirror that reflects back to them their own forgotten light. Your life becomes a sanctuary where others can feel, even if only for a moment, what it is to be whole. But this wholeness, it did not come from achievement. It did not come from finally getting what you wanted. It came from the thank you that preceded it all. The thank you that was born in the silence, in the waiting, in the heartbreak, in the unknowing. That is the most sacred thank you of all, the one offered without evidence, without guarantee. It is the kind of thank you that cracks the sky, that invites the heavens to move, that opens the channel between the finite and the infinite. Because the soul is not here to be right. It is here to be radiant. And radiance does not argue. It does not strive. It does not demand that the world prove itself first. It shines anyway, even in the dark, especially in the dark. And that shine, that unwavering thankfulness in the face of the unknown is what turns the key. It is what parts the veil. It is what allows life to show up not as a response to your need, but as an echo of your knowing. So let yourself know. Let yourself believe, not because it's rational, but because it's holy. Let yourself sing the thank you before the music begins. Let yourself dance, even when the floor beneath you has not yet appeared. That is the trust of the mystic. That is the courage of the awakened heart. And oh, what a heart it becomes, open, unguarded, soft. Not because it has been untouched by life, but because it has been touched by grace. Because it has learned again and again that every ending was a threshold, every breakdown a breaking open, every silence a sacred stillness waiting to be filled with your praise. You are no longer living for the arrival, you are living from the arrival. The difference is everything. You do not need the perfect moment to open your arms. You are the perfect moment. You do not need the circumstances to align. You are the alignment. You do not need the miracle to manifest in order to feel awe. You are the miracle. The awe is simply catching up to you. And so, as you walk slowly. Walk like you are already free, because you are. Walk like everything is unfolding for your highest good, because it is. Walk like love is waiting for you around every corner, because it is. Walk like heaven is here now and your breath is its doorway, because it is. Give thanks before it arrives, and watch as it arrives, not just to visit, but to stay, to dwell in your life, to become the new normal, not because you fought for it, but because you praised it into being. You did not chase it down. You allowed it to return. You became its welcome, its home, its reflection. And now, everywhere you go, life meets you, not as a stranger, but as a long-lost friend. Because gratitude has tuned your heart to the frequency of miracles, and miracles recognize their own. And as you stand now at the quiet summit of this inner ascent, you realize there is nothing more to attain, nothing more to chase, nothing more to fix. The seeking has softened into seeing. The longing has dissolved into presence. And the presence, oh, the presence is everything. It is the answer you once begged the sky to send. It is the calm beneath all storms. It is the sacred silence that wraps itself around your breath and whispers, you are home. There is no fanfare, no thunder, no bolt of light. Just the still, unwavering truth that has always lived in your bones. What you were waiting for was never in the distance. It was never on the other side of accomplishment or applause or validation. It was here, all along within you, around you, as you. You look back now, not with regret, but with reverence. Every valley carved you. Every unanswered prayer refined you. Every heartbreak hollowed you in the most holy way, making room for the light you now carry. You understand that nothing was wrong. Nothing was broken. Every delay, every detour was a divine redirection toward this deeper knowing. You see how life did not withhold from you, it prepared you. It did not test you, it invited you to trust, to surrender, to become. And you answer that invitation not all at once, but breath by breath, thank you by thank you. You became the open space where grace could land, and it did. Now there is no more pretending, no more performing, no more waiting for the world to validate what your soul already knows. You do not need permission to shine. You do not need certainty to rest. You do not need outcomes to be at peace, because you have given thanks before it arrived, and now the arrival no longer defines you. The thanks has already fulfilled you. The journey is not over. The path will continue. But something fundamental has changed. You are no longer moving from lack, but from love. No longer reaching from emptiness, but from overflow. You will still dream, still create, still desire, but not as someone seeking completion, only as someone expressing the infinite fullness already alive within. You carry this light now not as a burden, but as a blessing. You speak not to be heard, but to echo the truth that liberates. You give not to earn, but to reveal the abundance that cannot be contained. You live not to arrive, but to remember that you've never been anywhere else but here in the center of divine presence, in the flow of eternal grace. And so the final thank you rises not as a conclusion, but as a beginning, not as a destination, but as a return to the truth that you are already whole, already held, already home. Thank you for the unseen. Thank you for the becoming. Thank you for the breath. Thank you for the silence. Thank you for this life unfolding, imperfect, sacred. Thank you before it arrives. Thank you now that it has. Thank you always for what has never left. And with that breath, with that stillness, with that sacred remembering, you walk on, not toward the miracle, but as it